Hey, Chris Lipe here with How to Sing Like Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. We are going to be using isolated vocals from Holy Wars and Tornado of Souls to help us really dig into his approach. I consider Dave to be a really accessible gateway into aggressive mixed voice. So if that's something that you've been pursuing with your own voice, you're in for a real treat with some of these samples. Also, if you'd like my help taking your voice to the next level, click the link below and join my free voice course. All right, here we go.
This morning I made the call, the one that ends it all.
All right, I'd just like to first point out the massive amount of reverb that you don't necessarily hear in the original track. So many other things are surrounding it. It's interesting to hear these isolated vocals by themselves and to see how wet they actually are. But if you listen,
This morning I made the call.
this is such an exaggerated vocal posture. This morning I made the call. No. Let's work this tone. Let's put it in our own voice. You could argue that without context,
This morning I made the call.
this is pretty out there. We're gonna be as bright as we can. What this requires us to do is lower our soft palate, that soft part in the back of your throat, and at the same time raise your larynx. You can do this with a lower voice as well. And we start to sound kind of twangy. But then we're going to try to imitate, I'm going to say a siren. A very nasal siren. And there's other ways to think about this. I've talked about this in other videos on other singers. Crow, crow! Where we're pushing out of where our normal speech resonance would be. We're doing that at the same time. There's compression. I've done a lot of videos on compression involved here. But if we can do that siren, that it sounds squeezed, but it's actually quite freeing. It's also quite loud. But then it's helpful to just start talking like this. Yeah. I made the call. Get comfortable doing it without necessarily having to hit any notes. The beautiful thing about working with Dave Mustaine's vocals is that he's not singing all that high. So as soon as we get this crowish, nasalish siren going, we're not having to really stretch our range.
This morning I made the call.
It also sounds like he's plugging his nose a little bit. This morning I made the call.
This morning
I...
the one that ends it all.
The one that ends it all. The one that ends it all. There'll be lots more opportunity to unpack this vocal posture more as we move on. So, next one.
Nothing that'll be for me.
Now, listen here. He's going through a tonal transformation here on this vowel.
Before me.
Before me. This is so good for your voice to recognize that you can do this kind of thing. High larynx position, lower soft palate, nasal, siren. But then, being able to take that one vowel really, and put it in a line like this, or experiment with how that feels in your own voice.
Nothing that'll be for me.
Nothing and it be for me. Nothing and it be for me. Lots of freedom when you can experiment with your voice like that. And that's why these guys sound the way they do. It's not from taking vocal lessons. It's not from trying to be someone else. It's by experimenting with their own voice and going, oh, that was kind of cool. I'll work that into something.
Well, I warned you of the fate.
Oh, so if we listen here, he's adjusting his larynx position again.
Well, I warned you of the fate.
I warn you of the fate.
Well, I warned you
This example here for me is an encouragement to practice moderating compression and larynx position, tone control at the same time. I want you of the fate. I want you of the fate. All sorts of neat sounds that you can come up with. And he's exaggerating these sort of tonal displays. It's really, really neat sounding.
Well, I want you of the fate.
Well, I want you of the fate. It's not I want you of the fate. It's ooh, that you. Drops his larynx very obviously there.
Proven true too late.
And then he takes the whole next phrase.
Proven true too late.
Too late. Too late. Yeah. You hear this. Then you hear this.
Proven true too late.
Too late. Too late. Now listen at the end. That breath release. That tends to happen more when we drop our larynx and we sort of release that compressed air.
Proven true too late.
Too late. Late. Placement compression. Yes. Let it happen.
Up on my podium as you know it, I'll scholar.
I like the percussion here. Up on my podium, Now, this is good because
Up on my podium as you
he's low. That's the sound. Up on my podium.
Up on my podium as you know it, I'll scholar.
I know where I scala. What's going on here? This is more of the same that we've been talking about, but it's a bit more evident and a bit easier to unpack, I think, at lower pitch levels.
Up on my podium.
Upon my. So if we just said, upon my podium, we're not going for any particular pitch. Add more air, stop more air, keep going, there it is. Move it around a little bit in pitch, but keep it fairly low. We have, that's all this is. Learning how to feel the letting out of air as we continue to move some of it.
Up on my podium as you know it, I'll scholar.
And then here,
I'll scholar.
sky. Now that is a great opportunity to use held back air above our larynx and fry at the same time. So if we basically bottom out on our pitch, we have a bit of primary chord engagement in the form of fry. We don't have a pitch so much, but it's neat to put that on the end of the phrase.
No word I'll scholar. Up on my podium.
Upon my podium. Cool stuff. Next.
Up on my soapbox leader, I can change the world down in my pulpit as
Down in my pulpit. More evidence of this same sort of thing. If you can talk like this, it's a great gateway into being able to sing like this. But I also point out that
up on my soapbox leader, I can change the
he's putting some fry in there, disengaging his primary vocal cords a bit. So it's extra gritty. But I'll point out that the sensation still happens high in the throat. We don't want to go, it's not so much like this as it is like this. Very different.
So holier than now could be messenger of God.
Yeah.
So holier than now.
Holier than thou. Holier.
So holier than now.
Holier than thou. So he starts singing a bit more with it. Holier, holier, holier than thou. This, done safely, like I'm doing it, can be done for quite a while because you're actually saving your primary chords from too much air, which is what tires them out.
Next thing you know,
Now we get back to this sireny. Oh, yes.
next thing you know, they'll take my thoughts away.
I like way at the end there.
Thoughts away.
That's away.
Thoughts away.
Away. That starts very bright. Compressed high. Now, if you haven't seen my video on The Dying Cat, how to sing like Chris Cornell, I encourage you to watch that because it's going to help you get this placement even more and sort of take it and put it in the Dave Mustaine vein after you understand sort of that concept a little bit more.
Next thing you know, they'll take my thoughts away.
I want to hone in on away. Next thing you know, you take my thoughts away. 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 He doesn't do it so much where he's doing that.
Away.
He lets it be a little more open. But if you listen from the beginning of this line,
Next thing you know,
next thing you know,
next thing you,
it's very bright.
next thing you know, they'll take my thoughts away.
Take my take my thoughts. He's crowing my a bit more. My, which is making it easier for him to get that breakup.
Next thing you know, they'll take my thoughts.
Take my thoughts away. Good stuff. Thanks for joining me for this analysis of Dave Mustaine's vocals. Really enjoyed doing this. Thank you also for suggesting this over and over again. I hope you get a lot out of it. I hope it helps you pursue aggressive mixed voice. And again, if you'd like more help with your own voice, more hand-holding, someone to come alongside you in this process of self-discovery, click that link below and join my free vocal course. See you for more.